My name is Larry King. This is the Freedom Channel, and today we are discussing indirectly fate, karma, fate, life. They're all kind of interconnected, but I've learned through Mooji. And if you're interested in enlightenment, go to Mooji, look him up on YouTube, Mooji. I've learned from him that when you're a newbie like myself, you shouldn't talk about things like realization because it comes out like blah, 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 blah. And I know that that's true. Okay. I don't even understand myself when I'm talking. So I don't want to get over my head. So rather than talking about fate, I'm going to illustrate it with a story about how karma and fate brought the President of the United States, the Allied commander during World War II, um, to Denver, Colorado, where he and I came face to face, flesh to flesh, and that was our fate. Okay, and now I'm going to explain how that happened. So first, I'm going to put up a couple pictures here. Um, in the right, that's me as a child. I was born in 1944. About 45 years before I was born, Dwight D. Eisenhower, who they called Ike, um, was born. Okay, so at any rate, in terms of age, there's no connection there. He's 40 years older than me, and I didn't know anything about him. Okay, so um, so where do we go? All right, well, let's take a look at Eisenhower first and the events in his life that led him to me. Okay, then we'll talk about the events in my life that led him to him. But let's start with him. Okay, the first thing he did was he won World War II. If he would have lost World War II, believe me, he wouldn't have been president, and I would not have touched his flesh. Okay, that has kind of a weird sound to it, but at any rate, shook his hand. Let's put it that way. Um, so that kind of got me off track there. So where were we? Yeah, Eisenhower. He won the war. Okay. But before he won the war, he sealed his fate with one decision. He married Mimi Dowd, who became Mimi Eisenhower. And when he married her, he married the whole family. And he actually had his wedding in his mother in law's house. She lived in Denver on, I think it's 730 Lafayette Street in Denver, Colorado. Okay. So I was raised in Colorado. So the fact that he married Mimi back in 1916 is when his fate was sealed. Okay. Because what happened is during his presidency, um, Denver became the summer White House. Out at the Air Force Base, he had an office. And of course, he would visit often his mother in law on Lafayette Street. Okay. All right. So now let's turn to my side of the street. Well, first of all, I was born. That's part of the fate. I was raised on a farm. Thought I knew everything. In 1957, when Eisenhower was president, we moved from the farm, and my father was looking for a house in Denver. And he found this nice three-story house, and the address was 1048 Lafayette, which is 3 blocks from the Dowd House, the summer White House, where he would visit quite often. Okay. Now, I was familiar with it in general, that sometimes we'd go down there and there would be a crowd of like 50, 75 people across the street. And, but there was one in July when I was a junior in high school. You can imagine July, nothing to do, bored. I don't know what day of the week it was, but a couple of friends of mine ended up across the street, um, looking at being there for the president's visit. Turned out it was his farewell visit as president, but I didn't know that. Okay, so we're across the street, and the security at that time was a little bit different than it is today. First of all, there were no snipers on the roof. I'll guarantee you that. Um, the the perimeter, the security perimeter, was a rope line. and it was the same rope line as in a theater. I think they borrowed it. It would be the velvet rope, about that big around, the velvet rope with the stands, and then so it was a rope like that. And of course, everybody knew that you had to stay on the far side of the rope because that was the security line. That was the perimeter. Okay. We all knew that. That was an understanding. All right. So there we sat. And the limo was parked in the driveway. And in those days, the Secret Service, they weren't doing so much of this. They would go out and they'd collect teddy bears and toys from the kids and come back in. President Eisenhower, or Ike as he was called. In fact, I picked up a campaign pin from him. I don't know if you can, that may be backwards here in the camera, but see what you can do there. I like Ike. Okay. I just bought that in a thrift store. So where were we? Okay, so the limo's parked there. He signed the thing, and he's getting ready to come. Okay, so we're watching him. The limo starts down the driveway, and there's no cars allowed on the street, but it's a narrow street. So when he comes out, he turns north, and he, comes into the middle of the street, and he's on the outside, and he's beginning to come around the corner, and so he's waving. He's got the window down, and just before the limo turned on the street, my buddy said, "I'll give you $1 if you can shake his hand." Okay. So it was a split second. I was under that secure rope line, and it was just a few feet away, So it was certainly less than 5 seconds. I come out there, and he sees me. He's got a smile on his face. He just reaches out, shakes my hand like that, and the limo kept moving, and that was the end of the story. I went back and I got my $1. I don't think I told my parents about it. I don't think I told anybody about it. That wasn't the point. I got the $1, and I guess I got some attention from my friends. So I don't know what that has to do with karma, but I'm a great believer in karma and fate. If you stop, the light turns yellow, you have to make a decision. Should you want to go through, or do you want to stay? Okay, if you go through, your life's going to change. Who knows? You might get pulled over and get a ticket. And maybe that would save you, that would put you back 20 minutes. And so the person you were going to meet at lunch doesn't show up, and the girl that you were supposed to meet, her girlfriend is there, and your whole life has changed. Okay. And so if you look at your own life, and if you, like for myself, I like to go out and meet the day. In other words, I have no idea what's going to happen. Okay, but I enjoy it and I watch it as it unfolds, and I try to not fight it like I used to, kind of go with the flow. And I'm going to end with this song on it's kind of on like a philosophy of life or how to live your life.
Isn't life beautiful? Isn't life gay? Isn't life the perfect thing to pass the time away?
All right, we'll close that off as fast as we can.